here has a favorite tree? Raise your hand. Excellent. Mine is a big, beautiful maple tree with long branches stretching toward the sky. It's the first in a string of maples situated one in front of the other, and it's nestled just behind the cemetery's wrought iron gate set in the ivy-covered stone wall. She truly shines in October. Slowly, throughout the month, the leaves turn from their stately green to a brilliant golden yellow. This change feels like a slow build, just a few handfuls of leaves at a time. And as they change, this tree appears to glow, brighter and brighter as more and more leaves turn. Almost as if a divine hand was steadily increasing the brightness on a dimmer switch until the entire tree glows like a giant flame. I walk past this tree nearly every day, and I always stopped to take in the changes from the last time I saw her. She just stands out from all the neighboring trees changing colors. When I see the glowing leaves and breathe the crisp October air, I cannot help but feel, if even fleetingly, the realness of magic. Then, overnight, one day last week, in fact, nearly all of her leaves had fallen to the ground to lay in a pool at her boughs. I'm always just a little sad that the magic is once again muted, the leaves discarded, and her brilliance, though never completely lost, is dialed back to a whisper and readiness for winter. But it's not only disappointment that I feel, it's excitement as well. You see, this shedding always seems to be the annual harbinger of Samhain, also known as Halloween or All Hallows Eve, or you might even have heard it referred to as the Witch's New Year. It is my absolute favorite time of year, bar none. So Happy New Year. It's curious that witches place our New Year just as the days are getting shorter and the plants and flowers are beginning to die. Certainly, you must put your New Year somewhere. Secularly, January 1st is where we mark the New Year. Good enough, I suppose. My husband wishes me a Happy New Year the first day he sees a crocus appear after the winter thaw. Perhaps New Year's could also be on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, where we could use the daylight to kick off the year with hours-long celebrations. Witches and Western neo-pagans adopt Samhain as New Year's, which makes the day complex and many-layered. We adopt this tradition from the ancient Celts, whose holiday Samhain is the third of 3 harvest festivals on the wheel of the year. To the ancients, it was multiple days of bonfires and revelry, and also the slaughter. November 1st is not a significant date if you practice ancient agriculture in the British Isles, but it would be the time for shepherds to drive the herds out of their summer pastures and back home to be culled before winter. There is only flimsy evidence of the Celts marking Samhain as a date special to a new year, but again, you have to put your New Year somewhere. So of course, people today who express their spirituality through the tradition of witchcraft choose Halloween. Yes, there are the obvious aesthetic and pop culture reasons for this choice too. We wouldn't walk this path if we didn't like the spooky and the gothic. But I also think there is a poetry, a ruthless, brutal poetry, in marking New Year's on the day of the slaughter. It is a time to put bad habits out of their misery. It's a time to release that which does not serve. It is a time to put down tools that did their work in warmer, busier seasons. It is the time to harvest what we need most to survive the cold and the dark. It is the time of death which must come before the time of rebirth. The end is also a beginning. The year is a wheel, and time a flat circle. To me, this is the element which would be missing from marking the new year in warmer months. the clean slate from which to map out the future. Much like my favorite tree, her leaves must fall, and she must stand bare in the cold before the circle of rebirth can begin again in the spring, a circle without end. The holiday of Samhain also later bled into the holiday All Saints' Day, which originated in the British Isles in the Christian epoch and was later adopted by the whole Catholic Church. All Saints / All Souls' Day was a meaningful day to Universalists as well, who believed, and still do, that all souls were saved. It is said that on Samhain, the ancient Celts opened the tops of the great burial mounds that were ancient even to them. This, among other gateways, allowed for spirits to cross between worlds. And today, we advise our trick-or-treating children that the veil between the worlds is thinnest this night. In this moment, the part of us that remembers the ancient slaughters also remembers our departed ancestors, whose memories and gifts we cherish and honor, and who are bestowed with the title the Mighty Dead. In witchcraft, the dead are not only honored, but invited. In our house, an altar is decorated with photos and mementos of loved ones, and a place at the table is set, wine is poured, just in case our ancestors arrive while the veil is thin. Witches describe holding open the gate of power, a way to revere the mighty dead, and a way to pay it forward, so our descendants will hold open the gate for us. So when the leaves of our days have fallen to the cemetery's ground, we can slip from this life in ease and in love, and maybe, who knows, slip back in again for Halloween. In this spirit, every pun intended, I would like to lead you all in a small ritual to celebrate Samhain. Our altar here at the front of the sanctuary is decorated with fruits of the harvest, such as apples and sage, and photos of some loved ones who have passed. I'd like to call particular attention to Jeff Ochman and Dee Campbell Tompkins. In a moment, I will invite you to come up and place either a photo or memento of someone in your life who has died, who you wish to honor, or an item representing your harvest. Now, this could be something you have literally harvested, such as herbs or fruit from your garden, or maybe you went apple picking. Or it could be something you have worked for in the last year and have now metaphorically harvested, such as a new driver's license, a good progress report, or a job offer letter. If you did not bring something with you today, fear not, we've got you. When you came in, you should have received a note card and a pencil. Anybody here who didn't receive that? If you need one, our ushers and volunteers can bring them around. Just keep your hand up. On this note card, you may write the name of an ancestor you wish to honor today, or something you have harvested, which you are proud of. You can also find up here on this smaller table next to the altar some extra apples and herbs from my garden, if you would like to place some of those on the altar. I invite those online to participate as well. You may place your item or photograph in view of the camera, or if you'd prefer, you may keep it private. Once all of our items are placed on the altar, physical and virtual, I will lead you in a brief Samhain blessing. If you haven't already, please take just a moment to write down the name of a person or an item you have harvested, and then I invite you to come and bring them to our altar. And I invite you to do this in a moment of meditative silence. I would also like to invite us all to hold any losses or harvests that are too tender to even put up here, to hold those in our hearts as well. And I invite you to hold the name of your ancestors or an intention for the year to come, or something you hope to let go of from the last year, as I read a traditional Samhain blessing, which per the tradition of witches is in rhyming couplets. The veil grows thin at the time of the dead, as we honor our ancestors in whose footsteps we tread. Life retreats into the bulbs and the roots. The time has passed for the flowers and fruits. As leaves fall thick and carpet the ground, the Earth Mother awaits in silence profound. Now is the time for the apple feasts. Now is the time of slaughters, or to slaughter the beast. Seek the wisdom of days gone by, to deal with the past and let it lie. Face your shadow and accept your faults. Look now to the future to seek your results. Blessed be.